everybody. Welcome back to Keeping It Real with Tiff and Carl. I'm Carl Rabun.
I am Tiffany Salcido.
And Tiff, happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you do
I got to
anything
clean my house.
fun? You got to clean your
I
house?
I did, but you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. It was the best day I had in a while. Being on the road all the time, I miss like being just home and being present. And so, Saturday and Sunday, I was home both days. I got home Saturday. I was coming back from. No, I got home Friday night. I'm like I was home all day Saturday and Sunday. That's right. I had to like do the math right now. Um, but I woke up on Saturday with like a mission. I had some stuff to do. I had to go take my rental car back and my feet were busted. Like I needed a pedicure so bad. So I dropped off the rental car. I went and I got a pedicure. And then the lady that was doing my pedicure, she's like, "Do you like coffee?" And I'm like, "I love coffee." She's like, "Do you want to try some Vietnamese coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So she brought me a cup of Vietnamese coffee, and apparently it was laced with some amphetamine. No, it's very strong. I came home and I was like, I'm gonna clean the whole house. I'm gonna get every nook and cranny. I went on this mission where I was like octopus arms, just cleaning and organizing and dusting and sweeping it like all simultaneously. But I was incredibly productive. But I got the whole downstairs clean on Saturday. But what I was doing was trying to get away from my ADHD because usually what happens is like I'm cleaning the kitchen and then this thing goes in my room upstairs and I go to take it upstairs and I'm upstairs. I'm like, oh, I need to dust in here. So I started to dust in there and then I go like, oh, I was doing the dishes. And then I go, so I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm going to be organized. So I grabbed a basket, like a big laundry basket, and anything that needed to go upstairs, I just would throw in the basket, throw it in the basket, throw it in the basket to not like go back and forth. If something belonged in another room, I just went and put it in the room. I didn't put it away, just put it in the room. And um, I did really good. But then Sunday, yesterday, I had all the basket stuff that had to be dealt with. So yesterday morning, I got my coffee and I cleaned the whole upstairs. So I organized my office, I organized my room. I'm even pre-packed for an 11-day trip that I'm going to be on this week.
Wow.
And then I baked cookies because why not bake cookies in your clean house? What else do you have going on? So I baked some cookies. I have a class coming up on Wednesday that we have been together. This will be our fifth session. And so that's like kind of my treat for them as a thank you for coming. I baked them some special. I make good cookies, by the way. They're elite. They're elite. So I baked cookies for them. Um,
Very cool.
not everybody gets that, but this class got it because they're special.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm glad you sound like you had a productive Mother's Day. And
Yeah, my mental health is way better because when my house is messy, my mind is messy. So
yeah,
like the fact that I got to kind of organize and put things where they go because I had time to do so. Because a lot of times I don't have time and I'm just like, oh, I'll worry about this later. I'll worry about it later. The fact that everything got done is like, big, huge weight off my shoulders. And now it'll only take like another 6 months for me to have it all destroyed again and have to start all over again. It'll be fine. It'll be fine for
I've
my
been
birthday.
I've been thinking about that with like you said, a messy house, messy mind, and I was listening to a podcast with Drew Shetty, and he was talking about that. And then, I got an email from a wellness site talking about, 12 things that don't need to be in your home. And it
Hmm.
was, I read through them. I'm like, yeah, 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 you're right. You're right. So
Hmm.
the universe is telling me something I don't know, or actually I
Yeah.
do know, unfortunately. But yeah, very cool. Yeah, we had a nice, hopefully relaxing Mother's Day, and you know, got some things with my wife, and barbecued and got her a couple iridescent flowers. They glow in the dark plants.
Hmm.
And so she was excited for those and got her a couple things for her garden, and she was excited. And my mom came over, her mom came over, and we watched a couple movies and hung out. It was fun. We had a good time. So
That sounds lovely. I talked to my
yeah,
mom on the phone. which that was cool. My kids got me these diamond earrings, these diamond hoops, because I'm a hoop
Oh
girl.
wow. Yeah.
And by my kids got them for me, I bought them for myself, and I'm just gonna split it three ways amongst the kids. Like, go ahead and send me that cash app, because you got me exactly what I wanted. But uh, we're we're not a big gift giving family. I hate to say it. Not I don't hate to say it. It's just what it is. We're not big on like I got you the perfect gift for your birthday. We're more like spontaneous. Like I was at Costco and I bought this jacket because I know you would want it. That's kind of how we are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for Mother's Day and birthdays and stuff like that, I'll get my own stuff and say, look how thoughtful you all are. I got this for me on your behalf. So go ahead and run me my money.
Right on. Well,
And they're
as
very
long as they
generous.
as long as they know, what the deal is. I mean, shoot.
Yeah. Well, one year, my youngest son, Eric, I got to give him credit where credit's due, but he bought me a purse and he bought it for me. And it's a really nice purse. It was one that I had been coveting. And it was like a little less than $200, but he tried to get his brothers to pay for part of it and they didn't. He was so offended by that. And I'm like, sweetheart, like I appreciate the gesture, but please, please don't buy outside of your pay grade. Like if
Yeah.
if you're not willing to pay for, you can't buy something and then like after the fact be like, hey, by the way, you owe me this. So that was a good lesson learned for him, but I got a nice purse out of it. So it was great for me too. I love that beautiful little Kate. It's not a little, it's a nice big Kate Spade purse. It was very nice.
Oh, yeah. My wife's a Kate Spade fan as well. So
I'm
sweet.
trying not to buy. I have like a whole bunch of purses. I'm looking at them all on my office wall here because I went through a purse phase. I don't buy them anymore, but they're all Kate Spade and Coach are my two favorites. If anybody's looking to buy something for me. I love Kate Spade and I love Coach. I do not Michael Kors, not so much. I
Yeah.
don't know. I like Michael Kors. Sometimes I look at them, but everybody has them, so to me they're not special. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
They're not special.
you and my wife can go shopping because yeah, she's Kate Spade and Coach. Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Besties. Besties in the
Yeah.
making.
I hear you. All right. Well, so I have a question for you.
Ooh, so juicy.
And so I was, thinking, in terms of starting a list. We've talked about some things before, but just to, keep a list, maybe talk about something every week, like our idea of our top fives, right?
Mhm.
And so, so just wanted to see what you would say. So the top five for this week. This is
Okay.
Tiff and Carl's top five, right? And it is, what are the top five places that you have traveled for work?
Ooh, that I've traveled for work. Top five. Okay. So now my question is it like location? Is it like coolness of the people or whatever I'm
Just
going for.
whatever we're going. We had a conversation before the podcast. We were talking about, a fun
Mm.
experience we had, and it was a combination of the place and the people, right? And so,
Ooh,
yeah,
this is gonna get me in trouble because I tell everybody they're my favorite. Okay, hold on. Santa
your
Cruz is
most
definitely
favorites, your mostest
my
favorites.
mostest favorites. So
Yeah.
Santa Cruz, definitely top five in all ways. The people are cool. The location is bitchin'. Like if I could afford to live in Santa Cruz, I would probably live in Santa Cruz. So Santa
Hmm.
Cruz is definitely top five. Um, San Diego, San Diego, both again location and people. I really like working with San Diego, and I love visiting San Diego. So those two. Um, I have a thing. I think I have a preference for coastal towns because Ventura is also one of my faves. I love Ventura. Oh, now I'm down to two. I have two left. Mono County for the people and the place is awesome too. Mammoth Lakes is just a cool place to visit. It's very like up in the mountains. It's beautiful. There like lots of nice restaurants. So I'm gonna go with Mono/Mammoth. Gosh, this is really hard because now I have to think of the last one. Okay. Ooh, can I do a like five but honorable mention? Can I do an honorable mention
Sure,
at the end? Okay.
absolutely.
So in the top five, I also have Tulare. And Tulare is more the people than the location. Like Tulare, like if like the town of like where we train Visalia and stuff is cool. It's all right. But there's not like tons to do unless you like drive up into the Sequoias, which if I'm there for work, I'm not doing that. But the people of Tulare have always been super good to me. And it's like I go there and people are happy to see me. So I'm gonna go with that one. But my honorable mention is going to be Del Norte slash Crescent City because I just really love like that area and the people are really cool too. But the area itself is pretty awesome. And I feel bad because I have like a 700 other top in my top five, but those would be my top five. So what did I say? Santa Cruz, San Diego, Ventura, Tulare. No, yeah, I did say Tulare and
Mm,
Mono, and then of
yeah.
honorable mention Crescent City. Okay, that was tough. I love everybody else too. There, if you could do the top five places you hate, that would probably have been easier for me. But I feel comfortable with my list. Sorry for anybody I forgot, but those are like my top five. What about you,
Cool.
Carl?
Well, so yeah, I have some honorable mentions too. So yeah, so Mono is one of my honorable mentions. I just the drive. See, you drive opposite from me, but I get to drive through Tahoe and then go up 395, and that drive is just gorgeous.
Treacherous.
You know,
Yeah, yeah,
treacherous, sure, but I ain't scared of no mountains, right? But then
right.
just driving along 395 with all the how
Yeah,
the freeway is just perfect. I mean, it's just like tree lined and there's a
yeah,
river running next to it. And it's just, it's total, it's like fairy tale type of, stuff. And so it's real cool. Unless you're trying to outrun a storm, which that happened
right.
to us one time. Um, and then, Santa Maria, I'm in Santa Barbara County. So Santa Barbara, I do a lot
Yeah.
of training in Santa Maria. I used to do a lot for the bank that I worked for and also with Santa Barbara County. And just to be able just mostly just because I know it so well. I've
Hmm.
family there, and then also, I get to stop at Splash Cafe and get some chowder on the way, and so
Hmm.
always plan that out. And then, and Imperial County actually. So, going down to Imperial and El Centro and Calexico, and used to do a lot of work down there for the bank that I worked at, and I think I kind of link Imperial with San Diego, just
Hmm.
because I try to stay in San Diego when I train in Imperial, but people are super friendly when I go to Imperial. That I've been to Mexicali many, many times and really enjoyed it down there and had a
Yeah, I love it
blast.
too.
Yeah, but if I was going to have a top five, it would be San Francisco, of course, because it's home, and every time I
Hmm.
get to go, I get to see family and friends and get to eat at old places and the people, the
Hmm.
classes
They're so
there
cool.
are amazing. Yeah, I'm hoping to get to do a few classes with them in the next couple months. Totally looking forward to it, right? And then Ventura County, like you mentioned, every time every time I get over the hill on the 101 and drive down into Ventura County, I usually call my wife and say, "Why don't we live here?" So
Right,
and it's just
right.
it's awesome. And then the people are just amazing, and they're
Yeah,
always happy to see me, and so that's real cool. And then Monterey, so
I love
you
Monterey
like Santa
too.
Cruz, Santa Cruz is definitely cool. I grew up in Santa Cruz, so I mean I think the boardwalk still, I've been there, done that, but I love it. It's cool, but then absolutely, Monterey and close enough there. And then as you mentioned, Crescent City, the whole Del Norte area in Crescent City and then up in the Toloadini Nation,
Yep,
right?
yep.
There's the training spot that they have for us up
So
in at
beautiful.
Toloadini, Smith River. You look out the trainings and it's the ocean, and it's just
Hmm.
a big rock that looks like it's from the Goonies, right? And it's a
Exactly. That's exactly what it looks like.
yeah, yeah, and it's awesome. And then last but not least, Bakersfield. You know, good old
Right?
Bakersfield. I mean, people always want to talk trash about Bakersfield. I know I've talked a lot of trash about Bakersfield, but it's because I lived there and worked there long enough to put my time in. But, it's like a second home. And every time I go there, I
Yeah,
always see people I used to work with, people I admire, people that really have helped me along in my career, and folks that I definitely appreciate. So, it's yeah, so San Francisco, Ventura, Monterey, um, Crescent City, and the whole Del Norte area, Del Norte County, and then Bakersfield. So, and trust me, Tulare is amazing too. But Tulare's on the way to Bakersfield. I've done
yeah.
a few times this spring. I've done the Fresno to Tulare, Fresno to Visalia to Bakersfield trip, and then back, and get to stop at Harris Ranch on the way back to get some barbecue. Yeah, so
That's
yeah,
funny. That's actually my this week. I am Tulare, and then I am Fresno, and then I'm actually will by next week we'll be all the way up in Del Norte. So I'm doing the whole state this next
yeah.
2 weeks. So much so I don't even have time to come home. I
Hmm.
don't have time to come home. So I work on Friday in one place and I work in Monday another place, and I'm just gonna go from one place to the next because it's not worth me coming home just to go back. So
Yeah.
I'm packing for 11-day adventure.
Wow. Wow.
I, all
You
of
know,
those places you mentioned, I have a love for too. So Bakersfield, like one of the things I appreciate about working in Bakersfield, um, is they're so organized, and so when I go, I literally just have to show up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
Jesse's got
and
it. Jesse's got it
yeah,
locked down.
Jesse's
Yeah.
got it on lockdown.
Yeah.
Yes, and Ashley too, because Ashley's been
Hmm.
helping him. So
She's amazing. Yeah.
so good. But then I feel the same like Inyo County, which I'm going to give a honorable mention to Inyo County and Bishop because um, I I love them so much, like just as a place, as a people. They're so like friendly and like honest and real and um I don't know. It's just a small town. I think when they get people from the outside, they're like, hi, welcome, you're my friend now. And you're like, okay, I guess we're friends now. But it's
Yeah.
just like they're really like that whole area, that Eastern Sierra, like
Yeah.
everybody's just so welcoming and kind and generous. It's just a whole good vibe.
Yeah.
And I only picked Mono over Inyo, by the way, just for anybody listening, because I've known Mono longer. But Inyo County, they're almost like first cousins.
Well, they share
They're
trainings a lot. Yeah.
they do,
Mono,
they do.
Mono, Inyo, and Alpine County. They sometimes share their training
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just say I love them all, but there's
Yeah.
many, many, many more.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
those are my top five.
Oh, it,
I
it, yeah. And there's a lot of places I mean, I didn't consider anything around the Sacramento area because it's not really a travel. I mean, like if I go
yeah,
to Yuba City or Marysville or Stockton or Modesto or Fairfield. I mean, those are places that, would always treat me really well. And, I had to pick, if I had to pick one, between Fresno, Visalia, Bakersfield, Madera, Merced,
yeah,
I just picked the farthest one because, it's my old home, right? I can only pick five, so I had to,
yeah. That was tough.
be picky, but they all, it's amazing. You guys, it's people really treat us well.
Yeah.
Placerville, El Dorado County. Hopefully, I'll
Oh,
see you
El
guys
Dorado
next week.
County.
Right? Yeah, you just
I'm jealous.
make people feel at home and take care of us. And it's it really does make the the job worthwhile. And I'll
Yeah,
miss it when I don't get to do it anymore. Right. So
yeah.
yeah,
I spent a lot of time with San Diego, which like, and it's funny because the whole vibe there is like so welcoming too. Um, I I spent a lot of time, like I do a lot of virtual training with San Diego. I don't do a lot of in
hmm,
person. Which is funny because that's the closest place to me, but I hardly ever
yeah,
go there. I do a lot of virtual training which with them, which is awesome. But they like it doesn't matter who I have in the class. Like a lot, like again, Bishop and Mono County or Inyo and Mono counties, you develop relationships with people because there's like five of them. So
yeah,
like you
yeah,
see them time after time. There's not a lot of like turnover per se. So you get to see the same people. You build like long-term relationships with those folks. But in San Diego, it's like different people every time. But the vibes are always immaculate. You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
think that's the same Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz has a lot of the same people, like a lot of the same, but the vibes are always immaculate. Like they're just, I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah.
I think I love it. I think I love more counties than I don't love. Let's not do a top five of counties I don't like to work for, because let's not do that. But I have a few. But with that being said, I think we might share a couple. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but
Cool.
I really do. I love it's like people inviting you into their home. Like come into my home, come into our space, and they just welcome you with open arms. So I absolutely appreciate that for sure.
Very cool. And if you're a vampire, it's open
Yeah,
house, right?
yeah. But so funny thing about El Dorado. I haven't been there for a while actually. I don't know if they broke up with me or not, but I think they're seeing other people. I think they're seeing you. But um when I first started, I was doing a series. It was one of like the first like big projects I was on. El Dorado had a series that was just theirs, and we custom made it for them. And that's kind of where I got in. And I did I think two out of five or six classes in that series, and they had different instructors for different classes. And so I did like the second one, and I think I did the last one. Um, but my bestie, Kay Bizzle, was also one of the instructors. And so I had told them, like, on the second day, my best friend is coming. I need you to give her a hard time and be like, where's Tiffany at? I thought we were getting Tiff like to mess with her, and they did. And then she ended up winning them over with her amazingness, right? Because she's just an amazing person. I don't know how you can't fall in love with her. So when I came back, then they were like, "We really loved Chris," and I'm like, "You need to make a decision. You can't have us both." So I put him in timeout. I told them they were all in timeout because how dare you love her as much as you love me? And so then they came back and they made like these "We Love Tiffany" brownies, and I made them stand in the corner and I took a picture to show my bestie that they were all being punished for liking her more than me. And that's why, again, great people, love them so much. I miss going there. So maybe they'll come back to me. Maybe they'll come back.
Yeah. Maybe come back. Do, do,
Maybe
do,
come back.
do, do.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
So they're fun.
That's our
So much
top
fun.
five. We'll have another top five in the next segment. Have a chance for you to think of one. And
Yeah.
so,
Does
cool.
it have to be work related? I need parameters.
No,
No?
yeah,
Okay.
you can have whatever you want at
Do
Alice's
you
restaurant.
do you know why I love the top five? I'm gonna tell you,
Mm-hmm.
because as you can tell, I'm a little indecisive. When you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what's your one favorite thing? I can never pick one thing because
Yeah.
I can't commit like that. I need flexibility. I need options. If there's only one way to do something, I'm probably going to do it wrong. That's why I can't do IKEA furniture because there's only one right way to put IKEA furniture together, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't be creative. So I'm not about that life. As a matter of fact, right now I have an IKEA bookshelf with a rolling door that came down. That rolling door is not rolling right because I think I used some creative liberty to put it together. So now I gotta
Oh,
lift it, pull it back, and then push it up to make it work because I didn't follow the instructions. See,
you're
so I can't do IKEA.
supposed to use the wooden dowels rather than creative liberty, but I'm just saying,
Oh,
that's
well,
right.
I skipped that page in the instructions.
I I got I got IKEA furniture. We do a lot of our stuff with IKEA, and I got
Mhm.
some furniture that wants to split up and break up, and I got to keep pushing it back. So, but that's all right, you
That's
know.
fine. It'll be
And so,
fine.
speaking of narrowing things down to one thing, I'm going to ask you to be decisive here with question, and it
Okay.
could be if you could have any superpower, what would you choose?
Ooh, ooh. Teleporting. Teleporting. That would be it. Because I love to be places. I hate getting there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, that's a great
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. Like honestly,
I'm
I
feeling
love
that
to be
answer.
in
Yeah.
yeah, I love to be in different places, but I almost always like don't want to get there. Like I would
Hmm.
love to spend more time in Europe. Not a huge fan of like 16-hour flights, Would love to travel to Thailand. not a huge fan of going on 20 hours of 17 flights to get there. Like, um, yeah, I mm, teleporting,
Very cool.
teleporting. That's my superpower. I'm sticking with it. It was between that and being able to listen to what other people are thinking because I'm nosy. But I decided that would be one I would like, but I don't think I would use it for good. I'm gonna go with teleporting.
You can be
I
Professor
would do
X. Huh?
something terrible with that.
You couldn't be Professor X. Okay.
No, I would
No.
be Professor Ruin Your Life. I don't know. I don't think I would do anything good with knowing all of that. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with teleporting. That's my one. I'm decisive. What about you, Carl? What would you do?
You know, I always thought about, that idea of mind control. But I mean, gosh, that'd pretty much be like the most powerful,
Hmm.
like you said, with great power comes great responsibility. You'd have to really, really be of great morals to be able to, I think I have great morals, but at the same time, absolute power corrupts absolutely, so,
Yeah.
but sticking on that, I think that I would like to have empathy power.
Empathy power.
Yeah, where, just interacting with people and helping them to feel how other people are feeling. And maybe if they're too negative, just be able
Hmm.
to, just with the power of, not even having to work too hard with the power of persuasion, but just having the power to be able to help people to, oh, well, rather than hate, look at spread love, positivity, and
Hmm.
and to make up, right, and peace treaties and things like that. That would be an amazing thing. I mean, I think, there's some people who are good with that, but I think just being able to tinker with people's emotions a little bit, be able to sway them a little bit, tip the scales a little bit can help things
Hmm.
maybe happen a little easier.
I think I have part of that superpower.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do. A lot of us have empathy, right? But like I said, I mean, sometimes, I mean, just to be able to go talk to somebody and say, hey, you know, I really think it's important for you to really understand the things that you're doing to the people that trust you and depend on you and look to you for guidance and safety. And to be able to have that person actually really, understand that and have better perspective. I mean, that would be amazing. That would be amazing because,
It's a very deep answer, Carl. Very
yeah,
deep, very thoughtful answer.
yeah.
I just don't want to spend 6 hours in the car anymore. It's so surface.
I'll spend 6 hours in the car to go change somebody's mind, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do. I think that's something that we do practice. So maybe it's not a superpower, but I think it is powerful. And I think that's like one of the things I love about coaching is like being able to sense and articulate what you feel like somebody else is experiencing and then having them think about it different, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that is a super power. Like, and
Yeah.
it is magical because it does help people transform and it does help people like maybe see things differently. But it doesn't work on everybody, right?
No. And in
Like,
fact, like half of us are just, half of us are kind of predisposed towards being a little more empathetic and a little more, um, focused on how other people are feeling, right? And
mhm,
so it's a little easier for us to be able to be, a little more thoughtful in how we respond to things like that. And then the other half, hey, look, we're just trying to get stuff done.
mhm,
And
mhm,
oh, don't give me this touchy-feely stuff. That's not how I was raised, and all that stuff we've talked about before, right? So, it's I think, that's definitely a challenge,
mhm.
and sometimes it takes 4 hours or 8 hours or to help make a difference. Sometimes it takes longer, right? And so just to be able to make it so it's not so hard or so much work.
Hmm.
I think that's what would be the superpower, right? I think there's a skill set that we have, right? But in terms of the superpower, it would just be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. No, that
So,
would be cool. That would be
yeah,
cool. I
you know,
think, yeah. And I think that would benefit a lot of people too. I think one of the big challenges like in life is that people get really like isolated in their experiences, like
mm,
I feel like I'm the only one suffering or this is only happening to me or other people could have done this and I'm a failure. Like I think that negative like self-talk where people sometimes get stuck in their own thinking that they're the only ones that experience
yeah,
like hardship or challenge or, self-doubt or whatever words we want to use here. And I think like being able to connect with people in a way where you can say, I see what you're going through and you're not alone. Like maybe I don't experience exactly what you're experiencing, but I can tell you that you're not a weirdo for feeling that way, or you're not, you know, uh, a horrible person for suffering in this experience. So like, like removing some of that shame and allowing people to really be vulnerable and like go through that whole range of emotions,
yeah,
like being that safe place where they can, again, I don't know what the word is in English, but in Spanish it's desahogarse. Like I don't know how to say that in English, but maybe like vent, not in the vent like the way that we would use vent, but kind of like let off steam to like take the pressure off. That's a good
mhm,
one. To like let the pressure valve out a little bit of like
mhm,
what you're feeling and then like get to a space where you can now tackle it, I think is a huge piece of like human connection and growth that I don't think a lot of people get to experience. And I wish everybody kind of held that superpower. Like I
yeah,
think society now it's been just so competitive about who's stronger, who's faster, who's better, who's smarter, who's more emotionally intelligent versus like you're suffering and I don't want to see you suffer. How do we move past that? You know? I don't know.
yeah. No, I mean, multiple studies show if you have one person at your job that you can connect with in an empathetic, supportive, and non-judgmental way. So letting your hair down, venting, you will stay at your job longer and you are more productive at that job.
Hmm.
It's just finding that person and being vulnerable enough to give that person a chance to be let in,
Hmm.
right? How many of us were taught to, keep your stuff to yourself, right? And don't be drama and, you know, don't go off and, don't look like you're angry and frustrated, right? And don't bother anybody else with your problems. And if we can find somebody who has that superpower of, I'm here for you, I'm listening, and I am here to help you to lessen that pressure, we'd all be better for it to have
Hmm.
somebody in our life who can do that at work and also at home.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, do you have a question for me?
Sure, why not? Let's pull one out of the book here. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
I'm not gonna ask you for a number 10, I'm gonna randomly.
all right.
Okay. Ooh. Ooh, this one they wrote this one for you, Carl. This
Uh-oh.
is number 948. Do you spend too much time pleasing others to your own detriment?
Yes, absolutely. And it used to be worse.
Mhm.
We talked about boundaries last week, and we're going to talk
Right.
about boundaries in upcoming episodes. But, it's something when I was younger, my boundaries were definitely not established as well as they are
Mhm.
now. But even now, having difficult conversations is not always easy for me. That's why they're called difficult, right? But, I've been working on the idea of having important conversations because important conversations don't always have to be difficult if they
Mhm.
are done effectively with a positive, vibe where this is the goal, this is what we're trying to achieve. And So advocating for myself, speaking up for myself, speaking up for people that matter to me, doing things that matter to the people that I care about as long as I can do them. Those are things that, I try to focus on now that maybe before I would run myself ragged into the ground to try to do things, and think about how other people are thinking before I ever focus on how am I going to be able to do this in a way that's effective, not just for the other person, but also for me. And so that's really, an important thing. Absolutely. I grew up just trying to be a people pleaser and I still am. I mean,
Mhm.
my personality is that of a people pleaser and I want to please the world and do everything right. But I also know that I'm a human being and I'm going to make mistakes. And also I know that I have, responsibilities to myself and to the people that, I have formally made responsibilities and obligations to, right? And commitments to. And so I need to uphold those.
Yeah.
How about you?
No, I
No?
disappoint people more often than not. Well, so like partly yes, I will say not to my own detriment, but um like growing up, I've shared a little bit about like my childhood was a bit chaotic. And I think part of the way that I could create some sense of like normalcy or like positivity in my life is I was really like competitive academically. I was always like wanted to be straight A's, top of the class. And so that was like my part of, I think, overcoming the challenges of my upbringing that like I guess I'm being like super therapeutic and thinking about this right now, but it was like a way of creating value for like the chaos in my life. So yeah, maybe things aren't perfect, but look, I'm doing really great in school. And so I don't think I did that necessarily for other people. I think I did it more for myself. Again, maybe I should talk to a therapist about that to figure out the root cause. But I didn't necessarily, I don't think I did it for like acceptance. It was just like a way for me to find like value, like, or to feel valued is to just like shine academically and to volunteer for things and to be like really gregarious and those sorts of things. But I can't really say, maybe there was a period in my life where I did things that I didn't want to do to like feel accepted. I don't know if that's necessarily the same as people pleasing, but I was really good at adapting to my circumstances. And depending on like who I was running with, I might do things I wouldn't normally do to be accepted. So I guess in that sense, definitely to my own detriment. But as I got a little bit older and wiser, I absolutely care nothing if people are pleased with me or not, to be perfectly honest. As a matter of fact, like I don't really do much for other people's pleasure. I do like what feels good for me and my values and my goals and my things. And sometimes, unfortunately, um, I leave people very displeased with me and I don't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite. I'm a people displeaser. Remember, you're the people. I'm a people displeaser. But I grew up with a lot of confidence and like that real understanding of like the more that you're authentic to who you are, the more you'll attract the people who support and love you. And I would rather have like good quality, genuine, like people in my life that'll tell me the truth and I can tell them the truth. And it's like we don't have to tiptoe around like niceties. Um, like I'm real keen to people who just pay lip service. And it disappoints me, right? Like, don't be nice to me to be nice to me. If I'm being an asshole, tell me I'm being an asshole, and I'll adapt to that. Because as much as I say I'm a people displeaser, I don't like to hurt people. I really don't like to like cause pain or suffering. I really don't. I want to be a good person to all people, but um, I I don't bend well to other people's will unless there's a valid reason for it. So,
Yeah.
um, right. If
Well,
you want
that's
me on
yeah,
board, yeah, yeah,
to take care of yourself, right? And to,
yeah,
you have to put your oxygen mask on first, right?
yeah.
And all of that. And I think there's a difference between being a people pleaser and being a martyr,
Right,
right?
right, right,
And I've known martyrs in my life, and definitely, martyrdom is not sexy, and
right,
but it's something that people pleasers, if they're not, careful, can easily fall into the trap of being a martyr, right?
right.
And
Yeah,
which is basically, oh, well, I'm doing this for you. Why don't you appreciate me? Or I'm going to do this for you, even if it affects me in a negative way, just to show you that, I'm superior, or, that I'm going to, almost to spite you. I'm going to do this for you, even if it hurts me, just because I want you to know that that's, that,
right.
I can't, right? And I've seen that where it's not helpful, and it just goes back to what Brene Brown talked about, right? The idea of compassion or boundaries. Having boundaries is the most compassionate thing that you can do, right? And
Mhm.
so setting your boundaries, letting people know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, helps them to understand who you are and what's acceptable to you. And people will usually live up to your expectations. You just have to acknowledge that what they are,
Yeah,
and stop trying to judge people as right or wrong if they don't live up to your expectations, right? People they're going to fail. They're going to screw up. Heck, we all do, right? We're human beings,
yeah.
you know?
But I even think there's like a balance with that too, because, let me try to like, how do I articulate this for a second? Like, I think for people who are really explicit with their boundaries, or like what's meaningful to them or what's not meaningful to them, like when they're vulnerable enough to share that with you, and then you don't honor that, like if you really care about people, like I'll be honest with you, like there's like a handful of people who I do want them to be pleased with me because I value them. I value their relationships, their friendships, whatever it looks like. And so, like, the biggest pain that I could have is to know I let one of those very few people down, right? So I will never like step out of my values or do something that's detrimental to me, but I also have to like understand their needs where I can meet their needs, even if it's not what I need, right? I don't know if I'm like communicating that well, but like
Mhm.
maybe it's not important to me, but it's important to them. And so I'm going to do it because it's important to them because they're important to me, even if the thing is
Right.
not important to me, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Absolutely.
like, again, yeah, very few examples of that in my life where people have really proven their, that they would do the same for me. It's reciprocal. It's not one-sided. And I think that's where I kind of judge the people pleasing. Is it reciprocal or is it one-sided? And I've done a lot to like be helpful to people that was very one-sided. And if I needed something, they weren't all of a sudden. So it's like,
Right.
why am I going above and beyond if you're not really meeting me there, you know?
Yeah.
So with that, yeah. So with that being said, like I think that I don't want to disappoint certain people. And
Mhm.
other people, if you're disappointed, like good luck to you. Write it in your diary. I don't know how to help you, you know? Especially because I tend to be pretty honest and upfront with like my limitations and with like what you can expect from me. And I like don't want it to be a surprise. Like for
Yeah.
example, I had a roommate one time move in, and like we all thought it was a great idea until I got in her car and I saw how dirty her car was. And I was like, girl, okay, like you and I need to sit down and have a conversation about like what goes well, like what's going to work in my home and what's not going to work in my home. And I know that you're an adult, but if you're an adult living in my house, like let me clarify like what I need from you. And if you are okay with this, then move in. If you are not okay with this and you can't meet that standard, then like let's preserve our friendship and don't even move in with me because these things are non-negotiable for me.
Mhm.
And so she's like, oh no, I even like wrote it out in an agreement and had us both sign it to make sure there was no misunderstandings about like how I want my home to be and how like the expectations of my home. I want to help you out, but I also don't want to hate your guts.
Yeah.
Right. So here are the things that are most important to me. And immediately it became an issue. Like, I don't know if you thought I was kidding or I was not kidding, but like, I don't want food in the bedrooms. I don't want bugs. I don't want rodents. I don't want dirty dishes. Like, this is my home. Like you have your own bathroom, but you need to keep that bathroom clean. I don't want to walk in like, and there's black mold in the toilet. These are things
Yeah.
that I'm not okay with. So, um, it became very apparent that she was not pleased with me because I held her accountable for all of those things. It didn't last very long, but I wasn't upset that she was mad at me. I was like, I told you from day one like what it would look like. And I'm sorry that you thought I was joking. Like I don't know why you thought that I wasn't serious when I made us do a signed agreement. Um
Yeah.
this is important to me. And what was it? And asking you what's important to you, what do you need from me? So this is a good living experience for you too. Like we had this conversation. And so once like that's been done, then I don't have a whole lot of empathy after that. Like let's have a conversation. It doesn't have to be a difficult one, but like let's talk about this. This is what we agreed to. What's going on? Let's fix it. But after like the second or third time, now I'm like, now you're purposely like not honoring or caring about what's important to me. And that's painful. And you will suffer my wrath on that end. And sometimes, by the way, the suffering my wrath is that you don't get access to me anymore,
Yeah.
right? That that
Yeah.
that that part of me who's very kind and generous and loving. Because if you're on my good side, I'm very kind and generous and loving, and I will like support you in any way that I'm able to, not at my own expense, but like in whatever way I can give to you, I will do whatever I can. Um, And then once that bridge has been burned, like I'll say hi to you, hey, no hard feelings, but you don't get the same access that
Yeah.
you once had. And I'm okay with that. I don't ever feel guilty for that ever.
Yeah.
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 So no, not a
That's
people pleaser.
well, and I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, that's I don't think that's I think the difference with you and me is that, you know, I have expectations and I the ones that are important to me, I've learned not every hill is worth dying on, but at the same time, I've also learned how to say no. I've also learned how to have conversations where I need to be able to say, dude, something's going on, right? We need to
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
right? And set those expectations. If you don't live up to them, well, like you said, well, then, we have to go somewhere else. But I don't take it personally, right? That's unless you are doing something intentionally to hurt me. If you
Mm-hmm.
are, if you are doing something that you're compulsive, you can't stop doing it, right? And it's something that, I've asked you not to do, but it's something that's just not who you are. Well, then we have to figure out something else. I'm not going to hate
Mm-hmm.
you. I'm not going to take it personal, right? But we have to change the nature of our relationship, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not going to be vindictive. And like you said, I mean, part of it's just maybe we just don't have the same access. Maybe I don't see you as much. Maybe I'm not as generous. I'm super generous with people, and I love giving people my time. And that's the thing about me being a
Mm-hmm.
people pleaser. I enjoy seeing other people doing well, right?
Right. Same.
It makes me, it's that endorphin rush, right?
Mm-hmm.
The serotonin rush, right? Or the oxytocin rush, which one of those two, that
Yeah.
when I see people feeling better as a result of an action or a conversation that I had with them where I brought some type of value to their life, that actually helps me. It builds my esteem. It makes me feel better in terms of what I do and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody breaks my trust or if somebody is doing something that could potentially get in the way of, how we connect, then I cannot allow myself to be affected by that. And I will let people know what that is and why that is. now. Before I didn't, I couldn't, right? I'd always
Hmm.
have, you know, some, I just let it go. And
Hmm.
letting it go, all it does is build up that enmity and frustration, and then you damage relationships, right? Some relationships where it's one-sided don't necessarily need to be destroyed,
Right.
right? And especially if they're family. You can't, right?
Well,
So,
yeah.
and well,
Well, you
I
can.
can't.
You actually
Yeah,
can,
sure,
but you
sure.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah. But and so I know, with me, that idea of how we're going to connect will be different, right? And
Yeah.
so that's that's really what it is. And I'm not going to stop loving you, but and not caring about how you're doing. But dude, don't ask me for money. Don't ask me for this or something else that I can't do, right? Because hey, you didn't pay me back, or you went and spent it on something that I know is you know, not healthy for you, and I would just be an enabler, right? And so
Yeah.
I've been able to set those boundaries, and like you said, people get frustrated. They get they might take it personal, but it's never personal with me. And if it is, then usually some time will go past, and we can be over it. I just there's very few people that I have completely written off in my life. And but those people that I do not interact with, on a regular basis, I think we still have a friendly interaction, just it ain't the same, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's just the difference, and maybe just me being, maybe that people pleaser. It really is something where, if it's at the end of the day, if something's not upheld and it's just I mean, not everyone's good at upholding things, and people have, I mean, people go into a living arrangement thinking, oh yeah, yeah, I can do that, I can do that, no problem, and then yeah, they are a mess, or they don't pay their rent, or they they come home late at night, or whatever else it is that they're doing, right? And in those situations, this is not working out. We need to find
Mhm.
something else. Let me help you find something else. I'll help you find something else. So there's a way that we can repair this relationship and keep it going. But at the end of the day, this isn't going to work out. I've had to do that a couple times,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I hear
Well,
you.
yeah. And I think like part of the key there is like, is it worth repairing?
Yeah.
Is it worth repairing? And I think that's kind of what I was alluding to a little bit earlier. Like there are some relationships where, maybe you've gotten it wrong and you can come to a different agreement and like work things out and things will be fine. And there are others that are not even worth like the discussion,
Yeah.
and um it's hard to like know the difference, but I also know that sometimes people need to feel that like validation, for lack of a better word, that you hurt me and this is how you hurt me and you need to know that you hurt me. And others where it's like you hurt me and I'm just going to go ahead and call it, you know it's done and over with. I don't even want to waste my words
Yeah.
on a conversation because the relationship to me is not worth like holding on to. Like I can hold no ill will, um but I also don't like, it's not worth
Yeah.
um
Absolutely.
the time or the energy or the effort to try to explain to me why you're cut off or why I'm not interested in
Yeah.
this. Like, for family members, maybe I would take that time, but for like acquaintances and associates, I'm not necessarily going to use like, let me help you grow into a better person. Like,
Mm-mm.
no.
There's some people who aren't worth your time. Absolutely. But those are people that, like I said, those are people that I'm cordial with. It's just,
Yeah.
that's, if I see it, it's good to see you. Yeah. How's
Yeah.
how's everything? Okay, great. I'll talk to you
Right.
later. Right. And we don't have
Yeah.
to go anywhere else other than that. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm not going to look to see how I can slash their tires or burn their house down. Even if those thoughts come to mind. Right. So
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one.
because because that would be hurtful to me because I would get caught and I'm not going to jail.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Going to jail's not as fun as it sounds. I
I
heard
ain't
from a
going to jail for
friend.
anybody.
I
Yeah,
heard from a friend. I heard
yeah.
from a friend. I don't know for
That's the
sure.
question. That's the question next week. So last time you were in jail, I'm just kidding.
Don't be bringing up old shit, Carl.
Right.
But
All
I'm
right.
evolved. I'm evolved.
This concludes part one of our episode. Stay tuned for part two, coming Tuesday to all major podcast platforms.